I just lived through something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. A Jeep tore through my front yard, smashed my brick wall to pieces, and stopped just 3 feet from my daughter's bedroom window. And somehow, after all that, I was the one getting sued. Yeah, you heard that right. The mother of the girl who crashed the Jeep tried to take me to court for building a wall that saved my child's life. It all started on a quiet Saturday morning in Augusta, Maine, the kind of morning that makes you forget the world can be cruel. The air was crisp, the coffee strong, and I was in my garage tinkering with a stubborn mower engine. My wife Pam was inside at the kitchen table, handling invoices like she always does, and our daughter Lily was still asleep, her room right behind that wall. That wall wasn't some fancy statement or a power move. It was 3 feet high, built for safety. I pulled every permit, got every inspection. I built it brick by brick to keep my little girl safe. Then came the sound, this awful metallic roar, followed by a crunch so deep it rattled my bones. I dropped my wrench and ran. When I rounded the corner, I froze. A silver Jeep sat half buried in my yard, nose first through the wall. Bricks were scattered like confetti dust floating in the morning sun. The engine still screamed. I looked at the house. Lily's window was just behind it, 3 feet. That wall, my wall, had stopped that car from killing my daughter. The driver's door creaked open, and out stumbled this teenage girl, maybe 17, pale as a ghost, clutching her phone. "Mom, it's totaled," she cried. "Not, 'Is everyone okay?' or 'I'm so sorry.' Just, 'My car is ruined.'" That's when the anger started boiling up inside me. Pam grabbed my arm. She always does before I say something I'll regret, and whispered, "Wait." And then came Karen. Pink bathrobe, slippers, phone up already, live streaming. "You see this?" she screeched to whoever was watching. An illegal wall. A hazard to the community. I couldn't believe it. Her daughter had nearly killed mine, and she was blaming me. Karen Tillman, HOA president, self-appointed queen of Oak Meadows, had found her next crusade. I wanted to yell to tell her that wall was legal, inspected, approved, but Pam just squeezed my arm harder and said, "Let her dig her own hole." And she did. She stood there in her robe, performing for her phone, while her daughter stared at the wreckage. The cops showed up, wrote up a report for inattentive driving, and towed the Jeep away. But I could see it in Karen's eyes. She wasn't done. A week later it came. A thick envelope dropped through the mail slot. I opened it, and my stomach flipped. Summons and complaint. Karen's daughter Brittany was suing me for $25,000, claiming my illegally constructed hazardous wall caused her emotional distress. I laughed at first, but then I felt sick. I'd done everything by the book, every permit, every inspection. But now they wanted to bury me under paperwork and lies. Pam didn't even flinch. She just grabbed our folder of permits and photos, the videos we'd saved from the crash, and said, "We fight." That's my wife's steady hands when mine start to shake. We hired a lawyer named Ben Carter, a property law guy with rolled-up sleeves and a bulldog grin. He flipped through our evidence and said, "This is one of the dumbest lawsuits I've ever seen, and we're going to crush it." We filed our counterclaim. Then Karen struck back. A letter from the HOA landed next, fined us for leaving unsightly damage on our property. The damage her daughter caused. I swear the woman must have printed the bylaws on her bed sheets. Then she sent some guy to my door, called himself a community standards inspector. Cheap polo fake ID clipboard. He demanded to inspect the unapproved barrier. I told him to get off my property. When he wedged his foot in the door, I warned him calm as stone, "Move it or I move it for you." He backed off fast. Pam looked him up. No business license, no record. Karen had literally hired a fake inspector to harass us. That night I couldn't sleep. If she was going to play dirty, I'd have to get smarter. So I built a trap. I rigged an old broken camera with a blinking red light and fake wires, put it right out front, obvious as a neon sign. Then I hid a real trail cam in the bushes across from it. 3 nights later, bingo, motion alert. A kid in a hoodie creeps into the yard, snips the wire, starts prying at the box, caught in perfect 1080p. I walked out, turned on the porch light and said, "Looking for something?" He froze. I showed him the footage on my phone. "Who sent you?" I asked. He cracked. "Karen," he whispered. "She paid me $50 to take it down." That was the moment I realized this wasn't just pettiness. This was war. She was using kids to commit crimes. I took him to his parents, got a signed confession. Ben filed it with the court as witness tampering. But Karen had one more trick. She convinced an old neighbor, Finley, to sign an affidavit saying he saw me using cheap materials when building the wall. Finley, a kind old man who grew roses and waved every morning, had suddenly turned into her star witness. Pam just shook her head. "She got to him," she said. "Ben told me to go talk to him. Calm, friendly." So I did. "Hey, Finley, those roses look great," I said over the fence. He jumped like I'd shot him. When I asked about his statement, he stammered something about hearing me brag on the phone. Thing is, I never take calls when I work. Pam, who was secretly recording from the porch, chose that moment to play the audio from the day of the crash. You could hear the Jeep, the crash, and then Finley's real voice shouting, "She came flying out of there." Never even looked. His own words caught on camera. His face went white. He mumbled something and ran inside. We had him his perjury, his fear the truth. And still, it didn't feel over. There had to be a reason Brittany had stomped on the gas that morning. The answer came from Lily of all people. She came home one night holding her phone and said, "Dad, kids at school are talking about Brittany. They said she had a party the night before the crash and there was drinking." Pam and I just looked at each other. Then Lily showed us a screenshot. It was a text between Brittany and a friend time-stamped the morning of the crash. Brittany wrote, "My mom says we can just blame the neighbor's stupid wall. I shouldn't have had so much wine last night." There it was. Proof. She'd been drinking. And the illegal wall excuse. That was premeditated. Pam sent it to Ben. He called back almost laughing. "This is fraud, plain and simple," he said. "They're done." The morning of the hearing, I was a wreck. Karen and Brittany sat at their table looking smug like they'd already won. The judge's sharp eyes, no patience, called things to order. Karen's lawyer went first, painting me as some reckless handyman who built a death trap. Brittany even teared up for effect. I thought I might be sick. Then Ben stood up. Calm, steady. "Your Honor," he said, "the plaintiff's entire case is built on lies, and we can prove everyone." He laid it all out: permits, inspections, photos. Then the audio of Finley contradicting himself. The signed confession from the kid Karen paid to vandalize my property. Then the text messages. When the judge read Brittany's "I shouldn't have had so much wine" line, her jaw tightened. Finally, Ben plugged in the USB drive we'd gotten that morning from the delivery driver who'd been on the street the day of the crash. His dash cam caught everything. Brittany wasn't blocked by my wall. She wasn't even looking. She was staring down at her phone when she hit the gas. The crash played on the courtroom screen, high definition, crystal clear. When it ended, the silence was deafening. The judge took off her glasses, looked at Karen and Brittany, and said, "This is one of the most flagrant, malicious, and fraudulent cases I've ever seen." Then she slammed the gavel. "Case dismissed with prejudice. You will pay for Mr. Gregory's legal fees and repairs, and I am referring this matter for criminal investigation." Karen went pale. Brittany started sobbing, and just like that it was over. Months of lies, threats, fake inspectors, false witnesses, all shattered by the truth. I walked out of that courthouse into the cold Maine air feeling hollow, but free. I didn't cheer, didn't smile. I just breathed. The wall I built had saved my daughter once. The wall of proof we built had saved us again. And if there's one thing I learned through all this, it's that loud people lie, but evidence doesn't.